Hello everyone, I'm Geek Freak and welcome to the video. And guys, I have just seen Godzilla vs. Kong. So I'm going to go into spoilers, so if you guys haven't seen the movie, stop this video now and go watch the movie, and then as soon as you've done that, come back and listen to me talk about what I think about Godzilla vs. Kong. And with that said, let's resume with the video. Now, what did I think of Godzilla vs. Kong? Well, to be honest, I'm actually conflicted with this movie because even though there are some really good stuff in this movie, there was also a lot of missed opportunities. I'm also going to say, I also had somebody watch Godzilla vs. Kong with me who isn't into kaijus or isn't into Godzilla or isn't into Kong. That person was a normie. So getting information on King Kong vs. Godzilla from a normie was also very useful. Anyways, I want to start off with all the negative stuff first, because oh boy, there is a lot. There is a lot of things I don't like about King Kong vs. Godzilla or Godzilla vs. Kong. And I know what some of the Godzilla fans are going to say. They're going to say, oh yeah, this is typical coming from a Kong fan. Only because Kong lost, you're going to say that this movie isn't good and you're going to give it a low ranking. All because the monkey didn't win. Ha 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 ha. Get over it, loser. Godzilla won against Kong. Ha 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 ha. Okay. First off, yes, I was on Team Kong and I was upset when Kong lost against Godzilla. But I've already made a video about this in my video, Dear Toxic Godzilla Fanbase. So if you guys haven't seen that video, please go and check out that video, and then as soon as you've done that, come back, watch me and talk about what I think about Godzilla vs. Kong. But you know what, I'm just going to say it right here. I do not hate Godzilla. And yes, I was upset when Kong lost. But that is not the reason why I'm going to be talking about the negative stuff that was in this movie, okay? Because to those of you who have watched this movie, I'm pretty sure that most of you will agree with me. And to start this review off, the first negative thing I'm going to say first is, this movie was rushed. It was almost like, if you was to blink, you would miss something. And that's what the person told me, who was watching it with me, said. Because for normies, who isn't a fan of Godzilla or Kong, and who are just casual moviegoers, that person said that they didn't know what was going on, who these characters was, and everything was just moving so incredibly fast. And you know what? I have to agree. Now for us fans of kaiju or Kong, we go looking into things, and we've seen the other movies, and we go looking for the comics, and more information about kaijus and giant monsters, etc. So for us fans, we get it. We know who's who, what's going on, and so on and so on. And for fans who just want to see monsters fight, especially with Kong vs. Godzilla, everybody wants to see Kong and Godzilla fight. That was the main reason why everybody wants to watch this movie. And you know what? Yes, I want to see Kong face off against Godzilla. And you know what? Those fights with Kong and Godzilla are fantastic, even though they're short. I would have preferred it if we did have fights that was like about 10 to 15 minutes instead of 5 minutes. But I'll get to that later. And like I said, everything just seemed rushed. And for stars, we see Kong in a dome. And I'm like, okay, why is he in a dome? And then later on, we see Kong doing sign language. And there's also this little girl that's befriend Kong. And there's also this woman that's taking care of the girl. And she was trying for a long time to try and communicate with Kong. And we're only briefly told what happened to Kong's island. And then we're later told by one of the scientists that Kong and Godzilla are ancient rivals. Or at least a species anyways. And this one scientist woman says, we have to keep Kong safe from Godzilla. He will come for him. And then later on down the line, Team Kong and Kong goes to the All of Earth, and they're just following Kong like he knows where he's going, like he's been there before. And then he comes across this arena or this temple, and it looks like it was created either by humans or by the Kongs. And then we see this really big massive light that comes from, I think, from a Godzilla skeleton, and this thing has this sort of energy that the bad guys need to, here we go, spoilers, 3, 2, 1, to charge up Mechagodzilla. And that's another thing, Mechagodzilla comes out of nowhere. Okay, not exactly out of nowhere, but he's in the film for about 5 minutes and that's it. At the very least, I think so anyways. 5 minutes of Mechagodzilla and boom, that's it. And there's also Team Godzilla, which includes Madison, which is from King of the Monsters, and there are 2 other guys, and one of them is sneaking around this facility, which has something to do with Apex, which is building Mechagodzilla, and then later on, Madison and these 2 other guys, and one of them is the guy that snuck into this facility, very freaking easily, mind you, because here's the thing, they have this big massive facility that has all the latest gadgets, that has these holograms. And they are also the guys that are also creating Mechagodzilla. And, spoilers again, they are for some reason hooking up the skeleton of King Ghidorah to Mechagodzilla. So yeah, Madison and these two other guys are just casually walking through this big massive facility with ease, with no guards, no soldiers, and it's extremely easy for them just to walk around this big massive facility and try to figure out what the hell's going on. I mean, they just walk right through this big massive facility without ever being caught until the end. And you know the guy from King of the Monsters, Surizawa? The guy who brought a nuke to Godzilla so he could recharge? Well, guess what? His son is in this movie in Godzilla vs. King Kong. Well, Godzilla vs. Kong, but yeah, you guys know what I'm trying to say. And it's been shown that he's the right-hand man of the big bad, you know, the human villain. And also, he is somewhat controlling Mechagodzilla. Now, it is hinted that he wants to take revenge on Godzilla because Godzilla was indirectly the cause of his father's death. And you know what? This was a missed opportunity. We could have gotten some really, really good story with this character. We could have seen him pilot Godzilla, and he could have used Mechagodzilla against Godzilla or Kong. I mean, yeah, we've seen him use it against a Skullcrawler, but that's just it. Nothing else. And then sometime later, Mechagodzilla goes rampant, and it's hinted that King Ghidorah has something to do with it. And it comes right out the hell out of nowhere. And the fights, don't get me started with the fights. Now, here's the thing. The fights were fan-freaking-tastic, but the problem was, they were way too goddamn short. This is supposed to be Kong versus Godzilla, or Godzilla versus Kong. They have one fight, and then they have a fight again with Kong with the axe, and then it's another fight again after that. And then, boom, they team up and take out Mechagodzilla. And Godzilla is barely in the movie. Well, I wouldn't say barely, but I see more of Kong than I do with Godzilla. But saying that, we had 2 Godzilla films, and then we only had 1 Kong film, so it makes sense to have Kong more in the story than Godzilla. Because if you watched the 2014 one, and then King of the Monsters and Skull Island, it would make sense to have Kong on the big screen longer than Godzilla. So yeah, basically, this movie gave me a lot more questions than it did answers. Like, what was up with that temple in the Hollow Earth? What was up with that blue light that was in the shape of a Godzilla? How does Kong know where he needs to go? And also, how the hell does the Hollow Earth work? This movie was throwing so many things at us, and there was loads of missed opportunities and loads of character development with these human characters and explaining their motives and where they're going. This movie throws so much at us. This movie was like feeding a starving child from Africa who was skin and bones, and then they kept on shoving more food down at this kid and kept on giving more and more and more and more, just ramming it down his throat. And the kid says, stop, I don't want any more, I don't want any more. You're giving me too much, you're giving me too much. Because there was a lot, and I mean a lot of things that was rushed. There was a lot of missed opportunities, a lot of unanswered questions, and it was easy for Team Kong just to walk around all this facility without any guards and all this other stuff. And Urizawa's son is working for the bad guys even though his father gave up his life to save Godzilla. I'm sorry, but this should have been a trilogy. They should have just slowly worked everything up to giving us answers to how these things work, or where did this temple come from, and what was up with that Godzilla blue light thing that was on the floor. And yes, I understand. It should be about Kong versus Godzilla, and I understand that. I really do. But after King of the Monsters, they should have had like a trilogy. Like, where does stuff come from? When did they start making Mechagodzilla? And Ren Ozawa's character development? And Team Godzilla has to be more sneaky because they're trying to get around all these guards and all these cameras and so on and so on. Instead of just walking in with no problems at all, they had to go full stealth. And you know what? Maybe they might get caught, or they almost get caught. I'm telling you guys. I'm really telling you guys. I mean, it was rushed. Now, saying that, this is supposed to be Godzilla versus Kong. We are told that these two are alphas, and Kong doesn't bow down to nobody. And the Kong species and the Godzilla species were fighting for a very long time, which was shown to us on the cave paintings on Godzilla King of the Monsters in the end credits. And you know what? I was expecting a much better build-up. Like, I mean, how old is Kong? Like about a few hundred years old or something. And Godzilla's been around for nearly about millions upon millions of years. But the thing is, Kong doesn't know anything about the rivalry between Godzilla's species and his species, that they had this big massive rivalry between these two species of titans. Kong is basically ignorant of this whole situation. And the thing is, they go on saying that, oh, we have to keep Kong safe from Godzilla. We have to keep Kong safe from Godzilla because Godzilla will come after him. Well, here's the thing. After all that time when Kong was on Skull Island, in both Kong Skull Island and Godzilla King of the Monsters, what was stopping Godzilla from going to Skull Island and killing Kong? I mean, the main scientist says, oh, Godzilla will come for him. Godzilla will come after King Kong. But, as it turns out, Godzilla isn't looking for Kong. He's actually looking for the apex. And you know what? I'm pretty sure that Kong is an afterthought in Godzilla's mind. And you know what? This shouldn't even be called Godzilla vs. Kong because it was mostly Godzilla kicking Kong's ass. Now, I know what some of you are going to say. You're going to say, oh, look at Geek Freak. He finally brought it up. He's so angry that Kong lost, and he's gonna make excuses and can't admit that Godzilla is better than Kong. You're just a butthurt Kong fan that needs to get over himself. Ha 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 ha. The monkey lost. Get over it, Geek Freak. You're so butthurt. You're so butthurt. Okay. Guys, stop. I'm going to say this. You know the guy who directed this film or wrote the script or whatever? The guy who created this film was a Godzilla fan. So it was crystal clear that this movie was going to have a bias towards Godzilla. And they did Kong dirty here. I was expecting a clash of titans. Both titans ripping each other apart. Either one refusing to back down. And you know what? Yeah, I can understand that Kong would retreat and use strategy and get his ass handed to him. But my god, they did Kong dirty here. And not only that, they also did Godzilla dirty here as well. Now, I know what some of you are going to say. You're going to say, how the hell has Godzilla been dirty? You're just saying that just to appease people. Well, okay, let me ask you guys something. At the end of the movie, Godzilla was facing off against Mechagodzilla. An awesome fight, don't get me wrong, but Mechagodzilla was able to kick Godzilla's ass. And Mechagodzilla was about to kill Godzilla. And then, all of a sudden, Kong comes in and saves Godzilla. Yep, you guys heard right. The king saved the god from the false god. I mean, yeah, Godzilla gave him a little bit of help. And you know what? I'm so glad that Kong was the one who killed Mechagodzilla. But come on, this is King Kong and Godzilla, two of the most iconic monsters of all time. And they made Kong look like a bitch. Anyways, Godzilla is barely in the movie. I mean, yeah, we've seen him like once or twice in the movie, and then we see him all the time in the third act or fourth act. But the whole idea is this. It's Godzilla versus Kong, and Godzilla is barely in it. If anything, this movie should have been called Kong Hollow Earth. In fact, this is what they should have done. They should have made two movies first, one centering around Godzilla and the other one centered around Kong. One about Godzilla, and there's this secret organization that's trying to kill Godzilla with robots. And then over time, this organization gets the idea of, I know, let's make a giant Mechagodzilla. And through trial and error, they lose every single time. I mean, they've tried remote controls, they tried cable power, and so on and so on. And then at the end, they create the perfect Mechagodzilla. And this Mechagodzilla is exactly like the one we see in Kong vs. Godzilla, or Godzilla vs. Kong, except it's kind of like a prototype, and it has an extension lead for a power source, and it has somebody controlling it, and they come close to beating Godzilla. But the two main things that made Godzilla 1 was because of the lead, which gave Mechagodzilla power, because his power comes out from an external power source. And also, Mechagodzilla is also hard to control, so they have no choice to go back to the drawing board and try and figure out how to make Mechagodzilla better. And then they actually find a way, and that is to use King Ghidorah's consciousness and use the power source that was from the Hollow Earth, just like what happened in the movie. But instead of like going through all that stuff where they have to follow Kong, they actually sneak in and take some of the power source. And after so long, they combine this power source into Mechagodzilla and incorporate King Ghidorah's consciousness into Mechagodzilla, and then boom, you got yourself the perfect killing machine with an infinite power source and as the consciousness of King Ghidorah. But all that stuff with the infinite power source that was in the Hollow Earth and the consciousness of King Ghidorah should come in the third movie, which would have been Godzilla vs. Kong. And then the Kong movie would be centered around Kong, and they're trying to find a new place for Kong to go to, because more or less Skull Island has mostly been destroyed thanks to King Ghidorah because of the old weather disasters that he was creating from Godzilla King of the Monsters. So yeah, basically, Kong is in his facility. He doesn't like it, he escapes, and somewhere on Skull Island, he finds the opening, and he falls down it like he did in the movie, and the humans follow him, just like in the movie. He's in the Hollow Earth. looking around, and all the humans are following him, and they too are looking around. And Kong is facing off against a whole lot of monsters, like the war bats, a few small skull crawlers, and then when they get to the temple where Kong finds his axe, he faces off against a skull crawler that's even 5 times bigger than him. And not only that, this humongous giant skull crawler has an army behind him, and even though he's facing off against a humongous giant skull crawler, but he's also facing off against an army. And Kong doesn't just go into full-on battle, but he uses his wits, his intelligence, stealth, and he takes down not only the army of skull crawlers that was the same size as him when he was on Skull Island in I can't remember what year it was, the 40s I think it was. You know, they're basically the same size when he was in his teens in the movie Kong Skull Island. I mean, just one of those things are no threat to him anymore, but an whole army, Kong really has his work cut out for him. And like I said, he's stealthing, he's using his brain, he uses the tools, and he finds out more about himself and his people in cave drawings, and he sees 1 or 2 cave drawings, which we don't see until the end of the movie, but Kong does. And then Kong decides to go and face off against the skull crawlers and the big giant massive one, which is a male. He charges in, killing as many skull crawlers as he can, just to get to the big one, and then one thing leads to another, and boom, he kills the big one. And I'm going to tell you guys something, this thing is freaking huge. Again, he's 5 times bigger than Kong. He kills the male, and Kong is victorious, and he claims himself as king of the All of Earth. And then when Godzilla vs. Kong comes out, Cybernetics finds out about the power source that's in the All of Earth, and also they capture the female skullcrawler that was just as big as the male skullcrawler that Kong was fighting in the last movie he was in. She gets captured by Cybernetics, and she's being used as a baby making machine to create much more stronger skullcrawlers. And so they combined the infinite energy that they took from the All of Earth and combined King Ghidorah's consciousness with Mechagodzilla, and also placed the infinite power source within Mechagodzilla. And when this happens, Godzilla is going all over the place trying to figure out where he can find King Ghidorah, because King Ghidorah is inside Mechagodzilla, but Godzilla doesn't know this. But before any of this happens, the researchers that was with Kong, they find more cave drawings, and they're about the skull crawlers and the Kongs, and also their fight against Godzilla. Godzilla sees this, and he knows that Godzilla is his enemy, because he can see his people fighting against the Godzillas in these cave drawings. And also, Godzilla knows about the Kongs because he's been around for millions and millions of years, so he knows that the Kongs are his mortal enemy. In fact, Godzilla has been fighting the Kongs millions of years ago, or thousands of years ago, and Godzilla has seen the Kongs kill off some of his brethren in the great Kong and Godzilla wars. So Godzilla does have a strong hatred for the Kongs. Anyways, not only does Kong have the axe, but they also find out a way to juice up Kong by using the energy that was shown in the Godzilla vs. Kong movie. But this thing is all untested, so basically, yeah, Kong does eventually get his electric powers, but not yet. Anyways, Apex Cybernetics wants to take down both Godzilla and Kong because they recognize that Kong and Godzilla are the alphas. So they try to get Kong and Godzilla to meet. And so, one thing leads to another, and Godzilla and Kong are fighting, and, as you know, Kong loses, and then Kong goes back to his home, gets juiced up, and now he can use his electric powers. And Kong is faster, stronger, and whenever Kong holds on to Godzilla, it hurts Godzilla. And then Godzilla bites off Kong's hand, but then it regenerates, all thanks to the energy that was put inside of Kong. But, thanks to that, Kong's power has gone down slightly because he used regeneration. And so, the fight continues, and both Godzilla and Kong are completely exhausted. And then Apex comes in, and they unleash Mechagodzilla. And not only that, they also unleash loads, and I mean loads and loads of skullcrawlers that are at the command of Mechagodzilla, because King Ghidorah is inside of Mechagodzilla, and the skullcrawlers are at Mechagodzilla's command. And Mechagodzilla commands the skullcrawlers to go after King Kong and Godzilla. And both Godzilla and Kong retreat. Kong goes back to his lair to get juiced up again, and he fills himself right up to the top with his energy. And the humans set off a nuke onto Godzilla to juice him up again. And then Kong and Godzilla comes back, and Godzilla is facing off against the skullcrawlers while Kong is facing off against Mechagodzilla. But Godzilla and Kong are overpowered because of how powerful Mechagodzilla is, and with the overwhelming number of skullcrawlers. And when it seems that everything's lost, we get Rodan, Mothra, the giant spider, the Muto, all the titans that we saw in Godzilla King of the Monsters, and all of them are fighting the skullcrawlers. And just to give you guys a reminder, these skullcrawlers are just as big as Kong and Godzilla. And while the titans are fighting against the skullcrawlers, Godzilla and Kong face off against Mechagodzilla, and Mechagodzilla is kicking their ass. But, just like in the movie, instead of fighting Mechagodzilla individually, they start to team up and work together. And just like in the movie, Godzilla uses his atomic breath on Kong's axe, and it juices it up, and Kong does a fatal blow onto Mechagodzilla. And then Godzilla grabs one side of Mechagodzilla, and Kong grabs the other side of Mechagodzilla, and they pull him apart, thus ending Mechagodzilla. And then the remaining skull-crawlers run away, and then Kong and Godzilla look at each other, looks like they're about to fight, but Kong drops his axe, and Godzilla bows, or just tilts his head, signifying that they don't have to fight anymore. And then Rodan, Mothra, and all the other titans that was fighting off against the skull-crawlers, they surround Kong and Godzilla, and they bow to them, signifying that there are two kings. And after this happens, Godzilla returns to the sea, and Kong heads back to the Hollow Earth. And then, 6 months later, the humans that was with Kong in the movie, and Kong himself, are exploring the other side of the Hollow Earth, and then they come across Kong's kind. And there's at least about 60 Kongs, both male and female. Kong finds his home and his family, and is the king of the Hollow Earth, and Godzilla is the king of the surface. And Kong takes the Kongs that was on the other side of the Hollow Earth. He takes them back to the temple, where he destroyed the giant skullcrawler. And boom, that's where the movie ends. It should have been something like that, exploring the Hollow Earth, how it works, explaining what this power source that the Kongs had. And not only that, we could also see the motives of what pushed the humans to fight Godzilla, or be with Godzilla, or be against Kong, or, you know. I mostly concentrated on the Titans, because, well, basically, that's all we came here to see, is Titans or monsters fighting each other. That's what we all came here to see. But saying that, I wouldn't have minded seeing what Ren Sorozawa's motives was. I would have loved to have seen more of him. And you know, Team Kong in Godzilla vs. Kong, I just wish they did more than just, trying to find things and investigate things. Trying to figure out what the hell's going on. I wish those guys did more, and maybe they could try to figure out what the hell this power source that's in the Hollow Earth is, and they could learn more about the Kongs and the Godzillas and like all these other things that could, be down there. Like with evidence and cave paintings and so on and so on. And even though this is my idea of what they could have done, Godzilla vs. Kong isn't a bad film. I just think it was rushed. They were throwing way too many things at us, and that is my main problem with Godzilla vs. Kong. It was giving us way too much in a short time span. Yes, the fights were good, and I am glad that they did make a few of the fights in the daylight. That was pretty damn good. And my god, Mecha freaking Godzilla. He looks freaking amazing. I mean, compare him to the other Mechagodzillas from the past. They all look very, very stiff. But with Mechagodzilla in Godzilla vs. Kong, he's moving every inch of his body, from twisting and turning, and my god, that was awesome. It would have been awesome if Mechagodzilla had like more weapons, like with Kiryu from the old Godzilla films. He had loads of weapons at his disposal. But saying that, Mechagodzilla in this film is fan-freaking-tastic. And let's talk about Kong. Good god, Kong was so freaking great in this movie. His expressions, his awe and wonder, his fights with the warbats, and his intelligence and his communication with humans is just great. And I just felt so sorry for Kong. Hell, I have seen even people who was fans of Godzilla even saying, oh, I felt so sorry for Kong, oh, I felt so sorry for Kong. So if this film can even make the Godzilla fans feel sorry for Kong, then you know what, this film is doing something right. And Kong's communication with Gia is just so goddamn sweet. I will say this, even though I do love the fights, where we see, oh, the first round goes to Godzilla, and then we see one of the humans say, round 2 goes to Kong. And then immediately we go to round 3, which was right after round 2. For me, this was just rushed too much. Like I said, the last 2 fights with Kong vs. Godzilla, they totally should have been longer. And even though Kong gets his ass handed to him by Godzilla, it was still awesome to see these 2 guys fight. But the most satisfying part was when Kong saved Godzilla's life and he finished off Mechagodzilla. That was pretty goddamn awesome. When the king saved the god from the false god. That was just freaking awesome. So, what did I overall thought about this movie? Like I said, it was rushed. They kept on throwing so much at us and kept on giving us more questions and answers. I would have loved to see more fights or have longer fights. I was just craving for more. And you know what, even though Godzilla vs. Kong isn't a perfect movie, it's still a fun ride. And yes, I was disappointed when Kong lost, but the outcome of the fight didn't affect my results for this movie. It was just other factors that went into my results for this movie. I love Kong, I love Mechagodzilla, I liked the fights, but like I said, it was just giving us way too much and giving us more questions and answers and missed opportunities, human character development, and even if Kong won in this fight, my results would be the same. I give this movie a 7 out of 10. And I'll say this, I really hope that there will be more MonsterVerse movies and introduce more monsters from other movies and series and so on, especially if it's Gamera or Zilla. For me, Kong will always be the king. He is the monster that inspired all monsters after him. He is the king that inspired the creation of a god, Godzilla. Well, that's it for me, guys. What do you guys think? Am I right? Am I wrong? Did you guys enjoy Godzilla vs. Kong? Did you guys think it had its problems? Please let me know in the comment section below and let's get a discussion going. I'm Geek Freak. Peace out. Thank you guys for watching. And if there's a series you want me to check out and review and give my thoughts on it, or if there's a top 10 list you want me to do, or any reactions, or responses, or rants on anything geeky, just leave links and comments in the comment sections below, and I'll get to them as soon as I can. Don't forget to like, subscribe, put the bell on, share this video, and leave a comment in the comment sections below. And as for my social medias, I'm literally freaking everywhere! I'm on most video platforms, social medias, forums, and support sites. It's best to pause the video and see where I am. Literally all of this is down in the description box below. So if you want to go and check those out, please do. I'm Geek Freak. Peace out.